Hey guys, so I was out here feeding the pigs and I wanted to shoot this little video to tell you more about my perimeter fence, why I'm building a 7-acre fence in the first place, how it's actually gonna save me money, help me produce more food, become more efficient, and actually mimic nature more easily for running all my ruminant animals, future layer chickens, and even pigs. So that's what I'm gonna tell you guys about today. So what we got going on here in the field. So I'm still using my nets, and I'm gonna show you the actual fence and some of the components of it so you can see what it looks like and even mention some of the costs. So right now, you guys know I'm moving my sheep with these nets, right? So they move from here over there on their fresh grass. And these nets work great because we are doing rotational grazing. We're trying to mimic what happens so when you have a herd of buffalo or a herd of cows, let's say, that are out in nature, they're moving constantly. They're constantly getting pressure from other predators. They never stay in one spot and just sit there and eat. And God designed it that way to revitalize land, to get the trees and the grass growing better, to improve nature. Okay, so we're just taking that same process and using electricity to manipulate the animals to do that. So if you've seen my YouTube videos, you know all my power is running from a single line all the way up to my fence. This is a very inexpensive way to do this without making a perimeter fence. So then I'll be running these reels. These will create rectangular paddocks. So they'll go from that side all the way across to the perimeter, and I'll be chopping out little rectangles for the sheep to graze on. So I will be using a 2-line setup using these pigtail step-in posts, and that will allow me to move them extremely quickly. So no more taking over an hour to do these nets. I'll be able to do a move in 5 minutes, and I'll be able to do a move every single day. I could even do multiple moves in a day. This will keep the animals off of their manure, less parasite load. It will help to encourage the grasses and things that we want to thrive. So getting to that one move a day is kind of really the ideal thing for ruminant animals, and this perimeter fence is going to help me do it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the cost of this fence. When I first started building it, I thought, maybe just be like $1,500, $2,000. I would say, without adding up the numbers, maybe $4,000 or something is what I'll end up spending on all of this. When I started this project 6 months ago, I took breaks in between and I was doing other things, and prices went up. So these posts, these are 5-inch diameter, 8-foot tall posts, and they were $14 each. Now they're up to $18 each. So I'm gonna teach you some basic fencing here. This is called an H brace. And what is happening here, we're gonna be running all 5 lines across this. This holds the tension. When we tighten these lines, so each line is tied with one of those tensioners, and that's putting tension into that brace. It's pulling it towards this way. It's also pulling that corner this way. Okay, so these braces are set up for opposing force so that these posts don't get ripped out of the ground. If a cow leaned against this or a branch fell on it, things like that. Okay, and then you just got these little rubber clips here the wire runs through to keep the wire hot. I've got gates. Figuring out your gates is pretty important. You want to make sure that you have a lot of different access points, more than you think that you might even need. This is a 16-foot gate. A lot of the cost actually is in my gates. I think this is about $220 for a 16-foot gate like that. And then I am using T-posts, but if I was building a brand new fence, I would use timeless fencing, which is made from PVC, I believe, but it lasts over 20 years and it does not ground out if electricity touches this. But I had all these from the previous owner, so I went with this. Kencove.com is the best place to get fencing supplies, guys. These are the best clips for T-posts the strongest ones I've been able to find. So that's high tensile, and high tensile is the most cost-effective way to build an electric fence. Now, if you want to have just a physical barrier, you can do a woven wire fence, and that's what I've done over here as a permanent animal paddock setup. So that's the last thing I'll show you. And I just want to remind you guys that you can always respond to the emails that I send you, and I'm gonna actually respond to you. So I just wanna let you guys know that that's possible. And I'm definitely always interested in your feedback. So thank you guys for that. The theme for the next few emails is about, how can you raise animals for a much more inexpensive cost using nature, mimicking nature. So here's another way to do a fence I would highly recommend. This is called goat fence or woven wire. It is not welded wire. I wouldn't use welded wire for any larger animals. So this is a little bit cheaper than doing cattle panel, won't last as long, but this is another excellent way. I could have done my entire perimeter out here with woven wire, and that would have been another great option, but I couldn't electrify it. It would be much more expensive to run a fence like this versus the high tensile.